Hello viewers, before we continue with this amazing story, we will like you to be part of our family. Subscribe today and turn on the notification bell, watch to the end and don't forget to tell us where you're watching from. Now let's get back to the story. She realized it was no longer just her thoughts that were in turmoil. Now, everyone was watching, waiting. The pressure was mounting. And then, just as Moyo was about to walk into the back of the buka, Teyo's familiar figure appeared in the doorway. His presence seemed to draw the attention of everyone in the room, as if he were a magnet that no one could ignore. He didn't look like he was about to leave anytime soon. Moyo's heart raced. The choice she had made the night before now felt more real than ever. And as Teyo's eyes locked onto hers, she couldn't help but wonder, was she ready for what was coming next? The days following that night felt like they were passing in a blur. Moyo couldn't get Teyo's words out of her head. Take the chance. But what did it really mean? Was it just a chance to date him, or was there something bigger at play? Her mind swirled with uncertainty. She didn't know if she should take him seriously. She didn't know if it was safe to open herself up to someone who lived in a world so far removed from hers. But she had taken the card. And she had agreed to think about it. And now, every step she took felt like she was walking a fine line between the life she knew and the life that was suddenly being offered to her. It was a Thursday afternoon when Teyo called. The ring of her phone startled Moyo as she was serving a customer, wiping down the table in the corner of the buka. She looked down at the screen and saw his name. A lump formed in her throat. Should I answer it? Her hand hovered over the phone, but curiosity got the better of her. She swiped to answer. Hello, Moyo said, trying to sound casual, but her voice gave her away. Moyo, Teyo's voice came through the speaker, smooth and easy. I've been thinking about you. Have you thought about what I said? Moyo glanced around the buka quickly. The last thing she needed was for anyone to hear this conversation. I've been thinking, she said, careful not to reveal too much. But I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be thinking about, Teyo. There was a brief silence on the other end before he spoke again, his tone lighter now. It's simple, really. Just trust me. I know your life isn't easy, and I know you've been working hard to make ends meet. But there's more out there for you, Moyo. And I want to show you that. Moyo swallowed hard, the weight of his words hitting her in a way she hadn't expected. There was a part of her that wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that there was something more for her than the constant grind of survival. But there was another part that reminded her of the dangers of letting someone like him into her world. I don't know, Teyo. She hesitated. I'm not like you. I don't know how to live in your world. Teyo chuckled softly, the sound warm and reassuring. You don't have to. But you do have to trust that I'm not asking you to change who you are. I'm asking you to see something different. Moyo closed her eyes for a moment. She knew this was bigger than just a simple invitation. This was about the future, her future, and whether she had the courage to take a leap of faith. What do you want me to do? She asked quietly, almost as if she were testing him, seeing if he would push her too far. I want you to come with me, Teyo said. Just for a day. No strings attached. I want to show you something. Let me take you out. Moyo's heart skipped. She wasn't sure if she was ready to dive into the unknown, but there was a spark of something inside her, something that told her she couldn't walk away from this chance. Fine. She spoke before her brain could stop her. I'll go. The next morning, Moyo found herself standing in front of a sleek, black car parked at the side of the road. Teyo was waiting in the driver's seat, looking more confident than ever, dressed in a crisp shirt and designer jeans. He looked out of place in the chaotic streets of Lagos, but somehow, it didn't seem to bother him. Moyo hesitated for a moment, her nerves kicking in. This wasn't just any ride. This was a ticket to another life, another world. Could she really go through with this? Hey, Teyo said, noticing her standing still. He smiled warmly, like he was waiting for her to join him in something grand. "You ready?" Moyo took a deep breath and nodded. She opened the door, slid into the passenger seat, and buckled up. As the car started moving, the streets of Lagos blurred into the background, replaced by the smooth roads of the city's more exclusive areas. The stark contrast between the life she knew and the one she was stepping into became increasingly apparent. "Where are we going?" she asked, looking over at Tio, who seemed completely at ease behind the wheel. He glanced at her with a smile. "Just trust me. You'll see soon enough." Moyo nodded, but inside she was wondering just what he meant by that. She didn't ask more questions, though. There was something magnetic about his confidence, something that made her want to follow. They arrived at an upscale restaurant in the heart of Victoria Island. Moyo's eyes widened as they parked outside, a building she had only ever seen in magazines and on social media. The valet opened the door for them as Tio led her inside. "This is where you come for lunch?" Moyo asked incredulously as they walked past people dressed in suits, some of them talking in low voices, others looking up at the new arrivals. She felt like an outsider here, a stranger in a foreign land. Tio smiled. "I come here when I need to clear my head, and I thought it would be a good place for us to talk." They were seated at a private table by the window, overlooking the water. The whole place seemed so far removed from the chaos and noise of Lagos that Moyo could hardly believe she was really there. As the waiter brought them menus, Moyo looked at Teo, trying to hide the nervousness she was feeling. But Teo seemed perfectly at ease. "You're not what I expected," Moyo said, taking a sip of water, her voice more curious than accusing. "You really aren't like the others, are you?" Teo leaned back in his chair, his smile never fading. "You can say that. I don't live my life for other people's expectations. I'm just trying to do something different, something real. And if you'd let me, I'd like to help you do the same." Moyo's heart was racing again. The tension between them was undeniable, but so was the possibility of something more. She could feel it in the air, thick and palpable, and she wondered if it was something she could grasp without losing herself in the process. The lunch went on with pleasant conversation, though Moyo could tell Tio was trying to make her feel comfortable in a world that was not hers. But as they left the restaurant, something started to gnaw at her. Was this just another game for him? Was he really being genuine, or was he playing her for some reason she couldn't yet understand? As they walked toward the car, Teo's phone buzzed. He checked it, his face momentarily growing serious. He quickly typed something in response and pocketed the phone. "What's wrong?" Moyo asked, noticing the shift in his demeanor. Teo gave her a reassuring smile. "Nothing. Just some business stuff. Don't worry about it." But Moyo couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. There was more to this than Teo was letting on. And just as she thought about questioning him further, the sound of a car horn blared in the distance. A sleek black SUV sped by, and in the back seat, Moyo caught a glimpse of someone she recognized, the governor's wife, Teo's mother. Her heart skipped a beat. Teo noticed her glance and followed her eyes. "She's just a family friend," he said quickly. "It's nothing to worry about." But as the SUV disappeared down the road, Moyo couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was unfolding around her. She was just getting pulled deeper into a world she wasn't ready for. The following week, Moyo found herself thinking about that day more than she would have liked. The luxurious restaurant, the soft-spoken Teo, the way he looked at her with those knowing eyes, it was all starting to feel too much. Was she simply caught up in the excitement of something new, or was there something real between them? Back at the buka, she tried to shake off the unease that lingered in her chest. But every time she looked at her phone and saw Teo's name, a wave of anxiety washed over her. What was he expecting from her? Was she being foolish to entertain all of this? That afternoon, while Moyo was wiping down tables, She noticed Chijioke standing at the counter, staring at her with an unreadable expression. His gaze was intense, as though he had been waiting for something. She tried to ignore him, but it was hard to when he was always there, always watching. "Moyo," he called, his voice cutting through the hum of chatter in the buka. She looked up, startled. "Chijioke, what's up?" He raised an eyebrow, leaning against the counter as he watched her closely. "You've been different lately. I've been seeing you with that guy. Teo, right? What's going on with you two?" Moyo hesitated. She wasn't sure if she wanted to get into this right now. The last thing she needed was more pressure. "There's nothing going on, Chijioke," she said quickly, trying to dismiss it with a smile. "He's just a customer, that's all." But Chijioke didn't buy it. His eyes narrowed as he stared at her. "Don't lie to me. I can tell there's more to it. I've seen the way he looks at you. You think I don't know what that means?" Moyo's heart skipped a beat, but she kept her voice steady. "What's your point, Chijioke?" He leaned closer, his tone softer but serious. "My point is, you have to be careful. Guys like him, they're dangerous. They play with people's lives without even thinking about it. You're not like them, Moyo. You can't let him get inside your head." Moyo bit her lip, feeling torn. Chijioke's words had a ring of truth, but she didn't want to hear it. She didn't want to listen to anyone who told her that Teo was a danger. She needed to make her own decisions. "I'm not like them either, Chijioke," she said, her voice low. "I can take care of myself." There was a long pause before Chijioke spoke again, his voice quieter now. "I just don't want to see you get hurt." Moyo didn't answer. Instead, she turned away and began to focus on the customers, ignoring the knot in her stomach that Chijioke's warning had left behind. Later that evening, when Moyo got home, her phone buzzed with a message from Teo. She stared at the screen for a moment before opening it. "Teo, I've been thinking about you all day. Would you like to come over tomorrow? I have something I want to show you." Moyo's fingers hovered over the screen. What was he planning? What did he want to show her? The thought of stepping further into his world felt like a leap into the unknown, but she couldn't deny the pull. The next day, Moyo stood in front of Teo's gated house, a sleek building that seemed to loom over her like a fortress. She felt small in front of it, like she didn't belong. But she had promised herself she would at least see where this was going. The door opened, and Teo's face appeared, his smile welcoming, his presence easy. "You came." His voice was soft, but there was a hint of something more beneath it, something she couldn't place. Moyo nodded, trying to ignore the nervous flutter in her chest. "You said you wanted to show me something." Teo stepped aside to let her in, and as she crossed the threshold, Moyo couldn't shake the feeling that everything had changed in that moment. The walls of the house were lined with modern art, the furniture expensive but understated. It was beautiful, almost too beautiful for someone like her. Teo led her into the living room, where a large painting hung on the wall. It was a piece of abstract art, bright and colorful, yet oddly unsettling. "What do you think?" Teo asked, his voice full of anticipation. Moyo looked at the painting, trying to understand its meaning. "It's nice, but it's a little confusing, don't you think?" Teo chuckled, sitting down on one of the plush couches. "Exactly. It's supposed to be. That's the thing about art. It makes you feel something even if you don't understand it." Moyo hesitated before sitting down across from him. She was still trying to figure out the purpose of all this. Was he trying to impress her, or was there something deeper at play? "Teo," Moyo began, her voice tentative, "why are you doing all this? What do you want from me?" For a moment, Teo didn't answer. His expression softened, and he looked at her as if he was trying to decide how much to reveal. Finally he spoke. "I want you to understand, Moyo. There's more to life than what you've been taught. I've seen it and I want you to see it too. I don't expect anything from you. I just want to show you that you can have more than this. Moyo blinked, feeling the weight of his words settle over her. She didn't know if she was ready for this world, for the promise of something more, but she couldn't deny the curiosity inside her. What would it be like to step into a life where the rules weren't so harsh, where the choices weren't always between survival and survival? As they sat there in silence, Moyo's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out and saw a message from Chijioke. Chijioke, I told you to be careful. I don't trust him. Don't let him fool you. The words hit her like a slap. She looked up at Teo, his gaze steady and intense, but there was something else in his eyes. Something she couldn't read, something that made her wonder if she had made a mistake. Teo noticed her distraction. Is everything okay? Moyo quickly pocketed her phone, her mind racing. She didn't want to let Chijioke's warning get to her, but the doubts were creeping in. Was Teo being genuine, or was he just another person trying to use her for something? Yeah, she said quietly. Everything's fine. But deep down, she knew things weren't as simple as they seemed. The evening wore on, but the sense of unease lingered in Moyo's chest. She wasn't sure where she was headed, or if she was even ready for what Teo was offering. All she knew was that she was standing on the edge of something that could change her life forever, if she was willing to let it. The days after Moyo's visit to Teo's house felt like an emotional roller coaster. She tried to go about her daily routine, working at the buka, serving the same regulars, but everything seemed different. It was as if the walls of her world had been cracked open, letting in something she couldn't quite grasp. Teo's words, his promises of a life beyond the everyday struggle, echoed in her mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that something big was on the horizon. The next time Teo called, she hesitated before answering. She wasn't sure what she was walking into anymore. She couldn't ignore the warning from Chijioke, the quiet voice of doubt in her mind that told her to be cautious, to stay away from people like Teo. But then there was the pull of curiosity, of something better, something that could change everything. Moyo, Teo's voice was warm, but there was an edge to it. I've been thinking about you. How about you come see me tonight? I've got something important to show you. Moyo's heart skipped. Important? Was this the moment he'd been promising her? A life-altering revelation? Or was it something else entirely? She couldn't decide, but she knew one thing. She couldn't keep avoiding him. I'll come, she replied, trying to sound casual, but even she could hear the uncertainty in her voice. The night came quickly. As Moyo stood outside his house once more, the feeling of being out of place returned. She had been to his house before, but tonight felt different. The quiet of the neighborhood, the luxury of the space, it all felt too much for her to absorb. She was used to the noise of the streets, the chatter and chaos of Lagos, but this felt foreign. When Teo opened the door, his smile was wide, but something in his eyes was off, distant, like there was something else on his mind. You're here, he said, stepping aside for her to enter. Come in. I've been waiting for you. Moyo walked in, trying to ignore the tightness in her chest. She couldn't tell if it was excitement or fear. Teo led her to the same living room they had sat in last time, but this time, there was an added air of tension. The sleek modern furniture, the art on the walls, and the light music playing in the background felt almost suffocating in its perfection. She sat down across from him, her eyes scanning the room for anything that might give away the reason behind his sudden request. What's going on, Teo? She asked, trying to sound as casual as possible. You said you had something to show me. Teo leaned forward, his gaze intense. I do. He stood up, walked to a side table and picked up a manila folder. He placed it in front of her, opening it slowly. Inside, Moyo saw pictures of her. Not just random pictures, but ones taken recently. Ones from the buka. Ones of her walking down the street. Ones of her at the corner store. Her heart sank. What is this? Moyo's voice was barely a whisper. She could feel the blood draining from her face. Teyo's eyes were unreadable. You didn't think I wouldn't find out about you, did you? Moyo's hands trembled as she looked at the photos. There was a picture of her leaving the buka, another of her standing outside her house. It was as though Teyo had been watching her, tracking her every move. Teyo, what's going on? Her voice cracked as panic surged through her. Teyo smiled, but it wasn't the warm smile from before. This one was colder, harder. I told you I could show you a different life, Moyo. But everything comes with a price. The room seemed to close in on her. She could hear her own heartbeat in her ears. What price? What are you talking about? He leaned back, folding his arms across his chest. You thought I was just some guy offering you a new life. But I'm not just offering you a better future, Moyo. I'm offering you protection. If you want to be a part of my world, you have to understand something. You're not just a waitress in a ghetto anymore. You're part of something much bigger. Moyo felt her throat tighten. What are you saying? What are you really involved in? Teyo's smile deepened, but his eyes remained cold. I'm involved in business, Moyo. Big business. And everything comes with a cost. You want to be with me? You want to be in my world? You have to accept that the world you knew is gone. You can't just walk away from this once you've stepped inside. The silence in the room was suffocating. Moyo's mind raced. Business? Big business? What was he really involved in? Her thoughts immediately went to the pictures. The way he'd watched her, the way he knew where she was at all times. Was she really just another pawn in his game?